Hello everybody and welcome back to GamingOnCaffeine. My name is Isaac. We are back for episode 30 of FTB Infinity Evolved Skyblock. Last episode, we were working on getting ourselves the Certus Quartz wrench, and today we are going to use that Certus Quartz wrench to set up a very basic Applied ENERGISTICS 2 system. And in order to start doing that, we need to first of all make ourselves an Inscriber. So the way that we make this is with 4 iron ingots, 1 overclocker upgrade from Industrial Craft 2, 2 regular Minecraft sticky pistons, and then the hard parts, the Resonant Machine Frame, as well as the pure Certus Quartz Crystal. Now, the Resonant Machine Frame is currently being crafted downstairs. We made one a few episodes back, so I really didn't feel like you needed to watch me get all of the items again. So I got them all. That is almost done. It should be done fairly soon. But the hard part is getting the Certus Quartz Crystal, because if we look at the recipe for the Certus Quartz Crystal, and by the way, this is a pure Certus Quartz Crystal, you can't use a normal Certus Quartz Crystal. To make this, you need to drop a Certus Quartz seed made from Certus Quartz dust and sand into a puddle of water. To make the process faster, add crystal growth accelerators. Now, the Feed the Beast team tweaked this a little bit in the expert mode of Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved, and so if we look at the guidebook and we go over to tips and then time gates, you'll see that pure Certus Quartz crystals needed for the Inscriber will take 16 hours of real life time to create. That is a ridiculous amount of time to make the pure Certus Quartz crystal, but I did some testing in a single player world, and it turns out that the crystal growth accelerators decrease the amount of time drastically. And so what we're going to do to start with in today's episode is we're going to go ahead and we're going to make ourselves 4 of these crystal growth accelerators. So these guys are fairly easy to make. It's 4 iron ingots again, 2 ME glass fiber cable, 2 quartz glass, which is made using normal glass, and then some Certus Quartz dust, as well as a block of Fluix crystals, which are made by just crafting up 4 Fluix crystals or 8 of these pure Fluix crystals. We're going to use the normal Fluix crystals because these are a lot easier to make. To make these, all we have to do is throw in some charged Certus Quartz, some nether quartz, and some redstone into a puddle of water, and that will give us back 2 Fluix crystals. So, let's go ahead and grab that. We should have some charged Certus Quartz in our system, and we do. We got that from sifting sand, by the way. And then if we come over to our caches over here, our soul sand system, we have almost 4,000 nether quartz, so we shouldn't really run out of that anytime soon. And now, all we need to do is actually get ourselves a little puddle to throw all this stuff in. It doesn't really matter what kind of puddle you throw it into, so for now, all I'm going to do is just throw all 3 of these, boom, boom, and boom, into there. That is going to get us 2 stacks of Fluix crystals. We are going to need probably all of those over the course of the series, so I'm not too bothered about wasting a little bit of redstone or nether quartz right there. But now that we've got 2 stacks worth of these Fluix crystals, let's go ahead and craft up a block like so. We then need to get ourselves some glass, which I believe I have over here. I did go ahead and pre-pulverize some Certus Quartz crystals, so we have a stack of Certus Quartz dust over in the pulverizer, and now we can go ahead and craft all this stuff together. We can go ahead and make ourselves one of these quartz fiber, which we can then combine up with some of these Fluix crystals like so. That's going to get us some ME glass fiber cable, which again is going to come in useful later on down the line for more than just crafting, and then we can combine all that stuff up with some quartz glass like so to get ourselves a crystal growth accelerator. That didn't want to shift click in because we don't have any iron, and we do of course want to make 4 of these, so let me go ahead and make a couple more of these blocks. 1, 2, 3, and once we've got 4 of those, we can go ahead and craft everything up. Actually, let me go ahead and get a little bit more glass. That's going to give us enough to make 4 crystal growth accelerators. We can then combine all that stuff up, and that's going to get us 4 of those. Nice. So now I'm going to go ahead, and for now, what I will do is I'm going to put them down close to the power system over here, because right now the power system that we have over here is not really doing a whole lot. It's still making UU matter, by the way. UU matter is still being produced, and it's still being sent around and being used by the replicator to make more Iridium, because we are going to need more Iridium later on down the line to make some more high-end stuff. But what I will do for the time being is I will turn the top of this just to nothingness. I'll turn that off. And then what I will do is I will put these crystal growth accelerators, let's say here, 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 and here. I do intend to move these. They're not going to stay here. I'm just putting them here because I want them to be close to power, because we do have to provide each and every one of these crystal growth accelerators with power in order for them to accelerate the growth of these Certus Quartz seeds. So now we've got that, let's go ahead and grab a bucket worth of water. So let's just go ahead and do something like that. And unfortunately, you cannot transfer power directly from these machines, from redstone flux to the crystal growth accelerators. Applied Energistics uses its own form of power known as AE. The units of power are AE, and in order to convert from redstone flux into the AE power unit, you have to use what is known as an energy acceptor. And so to make the energy acceptor, which is this guy over here, we're going to need 4 more quartz glass, 4 more iron, and that Certus quartz wrench there in the middle. The Certus quartz wrench does not get used up in the craft, thankfully. If it did, that would be ridiculously hard to get into Applied Energistics, but all we need to do is go ahead and grab ourselves 4 more of the quartz glass. We can then craft that all up with the iron and with the wrench. The wrench doesn't stack, and so the recipe won't shift click in, but we can put it all in fairly easily and get ourselves the energy acceptor like so. Now, I'm not 100% sure on how much power these crystal growth accelerators use. I have some of these leadstone flux ducts here in my inventory. The reason why I have those, by the way, is because I changed up some of my power system. You'll see that over here, we have a cable going from this energy cell over to the lasers over here, just to make sure that these guys constantly have enough power and should be able to get through this craft here without running out of power from the steam dynamos upstairs. So we are losing a little bit of power from over here, but this is limited to how much the MV wire connector here can carry, which I think is only 4,096 redstone flux per tick, so it shouldn't be able to max out the 8,000 here and shouldn't actually drain how much power is in the redstone energy cell. As you can see, it's actually going up, and so I'm hoping that these leadstone flux ducts should be able to provide enough power to all of these crystal growth accelerators. If it's not, we can always go ahead and make some more of the hardened or even the redstone energy flux ducts if needs be. But actually, now that I say that, we could in fact just go ahead and do something like that. That's going to transfer the power over to the energy acceptor because the back there is set to output. And now that that back's set to output, all we have to do is use our ME glass fiber cables, of which we might need a few more. I think I can still get down this elevator, and I can. So we need to do something like this. And you'll see that if we do that, that connects up. The crystal growth accelerator turns like a bit of a purpley color. I don't know if you could see that on the video there, but that's going to go ahead and get those 2 powered up, and we're going to need a little bit more to get the last 2 powered up there, but thankfully the ME glass fiber cable is actually fairly easy to make. So again, let's just come back over here. Let's grab a few more of those ME glass fiber cable. You can get it in multiple different colors if you want to separate out your system a little bit. For now, just the default purple will be fine. Let's go ahead and grab 12 more of those. And now, if my testing proves to be correct and works and carries over onto the server, it should only take about 3 to 4 minutes instead of 16 hours to make this Certus quartz seed transform into a pure Certus quartz crystal. So let's come back up here. Let's grab a little bit of sand so we can make some of these Certus quartz seeds. Let's grab like as much sand as we can. I will make like, let's go with like 10 for now. I don't think we're going to need that many of these pure Certus quartz crystals. You can normally use normal Certus quartz crystals for most of the crafting recipes. But for now, let's go ahead and throw 10 of these in here, and I'm going to time how long it takes for this to actually craft up. And there we go, 16 hours brought all the way down to less than 3 minutes to make the pure Certus quartz crystal. That is so much faster and such an easier way to do it than waiting 16 hours without those crystal growth accelerators. And they're actually so easy to make. I don't know why you'd bother not making those to just make that ridiculously fast. But now we've got that, we've got ourselves the resonant machine frame. All we need to do is come on back over here. I think I might have an overclocker in one of these machines. I do, I'll just go ahead and grab that one from there. Pistons, we should just be able to request from our system here. Let's just go ahead and request 2 of those. Let's request 2 of the slime balls that we have. We'll go ahead and grab 2 of those. We can always make more if needs be over in the ex nihilo barrels over there. And then once all of that stuff arrives, we should be pretty much good to go to make the Inscriber, which for those who don't know is used to make the different kinds of circuits within Applied Energistics 2, which I'll show you in just a second. So let's go ahead and grab both of those. One at the bottom, one at the top. Overclocker on the right there. We want to put the machine frame in the middle. We want the Certus quartz on the left, and we want the iron all around, and that gets us our very first Inscriber. Cool stuff. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Inscriber should be able to work off of normal redstone flux power, so I think if I just put it like here for now, that should, if you look at the top there, it says contains 1.5 kilo AE, which is just the unit of power used in Applied Energistics out of 1.5 KAE, and so that is actually receiving power from the redstone flux ducts behind there, and now we can actually start to use this to make some circuits. But before we can do that, we have to make ourselves these presses, these Inscriber presses over here on the right hand side. For example, if we look up logic, if we look up the logic circuit over here, you'll see that to make this, we need a printed logic circuit, some redstone and some printed silicon. To get get the printed version of the logic circuit and the silicon, we need to use a different kind of inscriber. So you'll see we need an inscriber logic press in order to turn gold into a printed logic circuit. If we wanted to get ourselves some printed silicon, we would need some silicon as well as the silicon inscriber press. And so if we go back over to the inscriber here, we need to make each of the 4 inscriber presses. In a normally generated Minecraft world, you would usually find these within meteors scattered around the terrain. Unfortunately, we're in a skyblock, and so there are no meteors. But what the Feed the Beast team have done is made these craftable in the rolling machine. You'll notice if you hover over it, it says item can be made in the rolling machine. And if we go over here in NEI, you can see that in order to make the calculation press, we need a block of iron, some nether quartz in a rolling machine, and that will get us the inscriber calculation press. For the engineering press, we need to go over, we need a diamond. For the logic press, I'm assuming gold. And then for the silicon press, I'm assuming silicon. Yes, we need 4 blocks of iron, as well as a diamond, a gold, a silicon, and a nether quartz. So let me go ahead and do something like that. That's going to get us the 4 of those that we need. Do we have any silicon in the system? We have 1, although we should probably look towards making some more. And if I'm not mistaken, the way that we do that is by putting sand into the sag mill. That should give us a byproduct of silicon every 50%. So like half of the time, we should get silicon from this. We are getting incredibly unlucky if that is still the case, but I'm fairly certain that's how that works. If it doesn't, we can always look into making some more in a different way. But for now, let's take that and let's go and grab 1 more piece of nether quartz from our cache over here. Thank you very much. Let's grab a diamond from our system, like so. Let's grab a gold from here as well. And let's throw all of these together into our rolling machine, which is currently in the logistics pipe system because we haven't really been using it for anything whatsoever over the past like 10, 15 episodes. This is how you get silicon. We are getting silicon very slowly but surely. Is there a better way to get that? It looks like there's an 80% if we use clay, which might not be a bad idea given that we do have a clay production system over here, which is almost full with 64 stacks of clay blocks in the barrel. So if we go ahead and just replace that sand with some clay there, is that going to get us? That will hopefully get us a lot more silicon. It does take a little bit more time, but we're probably not going to need that much silicon that quickly, so that should be fine. And we do get clay back as well, so we can craft that back up and stick it back into the barrel later on once that is done. So let's come over here, let's grab our rolling machine, let's throw it down for now, like right about there. Let's make sure the front of this energy cell is set to output redstone flux. And now if we go ahead and combine up the blocks of iron with the different materials, and it's at this point that I remember that in the rolling machine you need more than 1 of every single item. I'm not quite sure why, but with the way the rolling machine works is that it uses the first 2 items as kind of a recipe, and then you have to have a second item in order for it to actually craft some stuff. So let me quickly grab another diamond, another gold, and we've already got more silicon, so that is fine. Let me go ahead and grab all of that cool stuff, and let's go ahead and craft all these. So we got our calculation press, we can take that, we can then go ahead and put our 2 diamonds in. That's going to get us the engineering press, we'll stick in our gold. That's going to get us the logic press, and then finally, we're going to stick in the silicon with 1 more block of iron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should do it just fine. Let's go ahead and quickly whip 1 more of those up, throw that back into the rolling machine. And that's going to get us the Inscriber silicon press, the 4th and final press that we need in order to use the Inscriber over here. Cool stuff. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to go away real quick. If we type in circuit over here, you can see that there are 3 different types of circuit we can make. We can make the printed calculation circuit, the printed engineering circuit, and the printed logic circuit. All of these are made using their corresponding Inscriber press and then 1 other material. For example, in order to make the calculation circuit, we need more of those pure Certus quartz crystals, which is why I made a few more than 1 earlier on in today's episode. For the engineering one, we need diamonds, and then for the logic one, we need gold, and we can use all of those together with some redstone and some silicon to make the actual logic processor, which is then, or the engineering processor, or the calculation processor, which is then used to actually make some stuff within Applied Energistics. And so, what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to go away, I'm going to make probably about 16, maybe 32 of each of these, just so that we have a nice amount of them to craft with, and we don't spend the whole episode coming back to the Inscriber every time that we need a processor, and I'll be back in a second. And quite a bit of time later, we now have 16 of the calculation, engineering, and logic processors. The main reason why I could wait to do all of that is because the Inscriber is quite a slow machine, and we do need quite a lot of all of these processors to get started with some Applied Energistics. One of the things that makes the Inscriber so slow is that you can't put more than 1 item in any of these slots at any given time. So for example, just then when I was making the calculation processor, I wanted to have the silicon press, the logic press, and the redstone all in there at once. Unfortunately, you can only put 1 redstone, and you'll see if I try putting, I'm left clicking now to put them all in, but it will only allow you to put 1 in at any given time, which means for every single one of the 16 processes, I have to put each of the 3 items in, wait for it to finish, then put each of the 3 other items in. The first part of the craft can be done a little bit easier. For example, this bit over here, if we look at the recipe for the printed calculation circuit, because all you have to do here is keep putting one item into the middle, what you can do is put like a hopper or an item duct or a transfer node here pointing towards the middle, because in the Inscriber you input from the top for the top slot, the middle from the middle slot, and the bottom for the bottom slot, as you would expect. And so, for example, if I was to grab some silicon here and put it into this hopper, it would go ahead and drop it into the Inscriber here. And so if I wanted to make a bunch more silicon, I could go ahead and just put all of that silicon in there, and it would go through and individually put all of the silicon into this slot, because this slot over here on the right hand side does stack. I'm not quite sure why they insisted on this slot being able to stack, but it's fine. Later on down the line we will automate this process and we won't have to worry about working with the Inscriber manually. But nevertheless, we now have 16 of the logic processes, calculation processes, and engineering processes. So the next thing we need to do is make ourselves a drive cage, this guy over here, or an ME drive. And the way that we make this is with 2 of those engineering processes, 2 ME glass fiber cable, and then 4 iron. All fairly easy stuff. Let me quickly grab a little bit more iron, because I think we are out of it after all of those iron blocks. So let's also go ahead and make a couple more of these. I'm actually going to make quite a few, because like I said, we do need these for more than just crafting, and we are going to need quite a few of them throughout the course of setting up our Applied Energistics 2 system. So let's just go ahead and use all of those. The fluix crystals aren't too hard to come by. We have a ton of Certus quartz that we can turn into Certus quartz dust, and we also have a ton of sand that we can turn into glass, so they're not actually particularly hard to make. So let's go ahead and craft all those up to get ourselves one ME drive. We are going to again need more of these in the future, but for now we will just make the one. The next item on the list of things that we need to make is an ME crafting terminal. This guy over here. This guy's a little bit fickle to make, but is actually not all too hard to make. We need a crafting table. We need a calculation processor, I think it is. Yeah, we need the calculation processor there, and we also need the ME terminal. This is made using a logic processor, a formation core, as well as an annihilation core. These are made using a logic processor, fluix dust, and then either a Certus quartz crystal for the formation core or a nether quartz crystal, this guy over here, for the annihilation core. So let me quickly request some more Certus quartz from in here. I'll go for 10. I've already made some fluix dust in the pulverizer. The way that you make this is by pulverizing up the fluix crystals, and then of course nether quartz we have in abundance over here in our cache. So let's come back over here. Let's see if our Certus quartz has arrived. It has. Let's go ahead and take all of that, craft all that stuff up in the crafting terminal. So we want to make ourselves 2 of these formation cores. We want to make 2 of the annihilation cores, and then the final thing that we need to craft is this guy over here, the illuminated panel. And for this we need 3 quartz glass, 2 glowstone, 1 redstone, and 1 iron. So let's go ahead and make a little bit more of that. Let's grab 2 glowstone from our system over here, 1, 2, and then we should be able to craft all this stuff together like so. That gets us the illuminated panel. We can then craft that illuminated panel into an ME terminal. We only want the one for now, and then we can craft that ME terminal into the ME crafting terminal. Cool stuff. So now we got that, we got another achievement. We need to hook this up with some power. So what I think I'm going to do for the time being is put this right about here. And you'll see why I'm going to put it here in a second. I'll probably move it and find a nicer place for it at some point in the future. But for now, I'll put it here. And basically what we're going to do here is we're going to put one of these ME glass fiber cables down, and we're going to put down one of these ME crafting terminals, because these cables are used to connect items within an Applied Energistics 2 network together. So this cable here is connecting the ME crafting terminal to the ME drive. Now, the next thing we're going to do is connect up our ME drive to power. And as we mentioned before, the way that we do that is via the energy acceptor. Where is it? It's right about there. It's via the energy acceptor, because you cannot transfer redstone flux directly into most Applied Energistics 2 machines, including, I believe, the drive cage over there. So, for now, let's go ahead and grab this. I might make another one just in case we need to use these crystal growth accelerators again in the future. But for now, let's go ahead and put this down, probably right about there, and then we can use more of these ME glass cable here to connect up the drive cage, like so, to the energy acceptor. Nice. And if we come up here now, these are both online, and we can open up the ME crafting terminal to see what is inside it. Now, we cannot put anything in or take anything out of this terminal yet, because we do not have any drives within the drive cages. And now let me do a quick inventory dump, and by that I mean probably just get rid of the iron and the redstone. But now we've done that, we can start to look at drive. So if I type in drive, I think it's not going to come up with those. So let's try storage cell. I think that might work. Is it storage cell? Yeah, okay. So there are multiple different storage cells that we can use. There is the one 1K, 4K, 16K, and 64K ME storage cells that we can put within our ME drive, and each of these can hold more bytes of items, if that makes sense. So if you look at those, if you look at the item there, you'll see it says 1K ME storage cell, 0 out of 1024 bytes, 0 out of 63 types. Now you'll notice that all of the cells, even the bigger ones, still say 0 out of 63 types. The reason why that is that each cell can hold no more than 63 different items. So if we were to put like coal, redstone, iron, gold, diamonds, they're all different items. We could put 63 different items into each disk. The bigger disks are just there if you have a lot of one particular item. For example, if we wanted to put all of our cobblestone into there, I think we have like, what? Let's see here. We've got 83,000 cobblestone. If we want to put all of that into our 1K drive, it probably wouldn't fare so well because the 1K drive can only hold 1024 bytes worth of items, but it can still hold 63 types. So the 1K drive is good for holding a lot of different items when you don't have a lot of those items, and then the higher drives, like the 64K drive or the 16K drive, are better for when you have a lot of singular items. Like we have a lot of oak, we have a lot of saplings, we have a lot of cobblestone, and for now we're going to go with the 1K drives just because they are the easiest to make. The way that you make the 4K drives is just by crafting up more and more of these storage components. You'll see to make a 64 one, we need 3 16K ones. To make a 16K one, we need 3 4K, and to get a 4K, we need 3 1K. So we're going to start with just making a couple of these 1K drives, and then we'll expand it as we need more storage for our system. So in order to make these, we need 2 quartz glass, 3 redstone, 3 iron ingots, and then 1 1K ME storage component. For this, we need some Certus quartz crystals, some more redstone, and the logic processor. So let's go ahead and do something like that. We do not have something. We should probably request more Certus quartz crystals. Let's go ahead and grab like a stack of those. And once those arrive, we should be able to go with that. We do not currently have enough Certus quartz glass. Let's go ahead and craft up a little bit more of that. I do want to make a few of these 1K drives here because I know for a fact that one is going to be nowhere near enough to craft all of our stuff in. So let's go ahead and do something like this. Craft up a few of those. It helps as well if you have all of the items required, such as the redstone that we need to do this. And then once we've got that, let's go ahead and get like 5 for now, and then we'll craft all 5 of those up into 1K storage cells after we grab ourselves some more iron, like so. Boom, boom, a boom. Nice. Now, they don't stack, which is a bit of a pain, but we can go ahead and we can put these into the ME drive cage like so. Let me go ahead and grab that final one there. That gets us 4 of those. I'm not quite sure what we were missing for the 5th one, but that's fine. Probably glass. Yeah, the quartz glass. So now we've got 4 drives. We can hold up to 4,096 bytes worth of items, as well as whatever 63 times 4 worth of different types of items is. And so basically what we can do now is we can store our items within these drives. So if we right click on the crafting terminal, I can go ahead and just put all of my items that are in my inventory directly into the ME crafting terminal. Pretty cool stuff. So now whenever we want to craft something, we can just come into here. I like to set this to auto mode, the other search box over here, so that when you come in, your cursor automatically is up here and you're just ready to type. By default, if it's on standard, you have to come in, and if I start typing, nothing happens. It starts down here. You have to click and then type. I kind of like to have it on automatic search. You can also do NEI synchronized, which means that if you start to type something in, it will also search for that thing in NEI, which can be quite good. For example, if I'm looking for a chest, I realize I don't have a chest, and then I can search, and I can just craft one because it's there in NEI. I personally like auto search. You can put it on whatever you like. But for example, if we want to make a chest, the really cool thing, and one of my favorite things about having an applied ENERGISTICS 2 system, let me quickly switch that out for some oak, although it really doesn't matter, is that you can use the entirety of the AE system's internal storage. You can use all of the items within an applied ENERGISTICS 2 system for crafting, for automatic shift-click crafting. For example, if I want to make some chests, I could go ahead and make sure that we have some planks in there. I can also go ahead and make some planks. So if I want to make, for instance, some of, it's kind of hard to do with those planks there, but let's just say we had like a bunch of planks in our system, and I wanted to craft a chest. I can just shift right click, and it will automatically find those items in the system and put them into the crafting terminal for me, which means now I don't have to go around and search through all of these storage drawers, or even just look into here to get my stuff and request the stuff. It will just automatically put it into the crafting table for me instantaneously. There's no waiting like there is with the logistics pipe system over here. Pretty cool stuff. So now that we've got this, what I could probably do is go around and just go and like grab everything out of all of these storage drawers and then individually put them all back into the logistics pipe system. But where's the fun in that? I think it would be much more interesting if we tried to automatically pull everything out of here into the AE2 system that we have down here. And the way we're going to do that is by using a very simple import bus, which basically allows you to import stuff from one inventory into the applied ENERGISTICS 2 system. For this, we're going to need a sticky piston, which I think should be fairly easy to do. Actually, we're going to have to request a piston from over here, and then also request that final slime ball that we have. Let's go ahead and grab that. We should already have the annihilation core. We, of course, already have some iron ingots, but I'll grab some more just in case. Let's go ahead and grab the piston and the slime ball, craft both those up in here, boom and boom, and then we'll throw the iron in as well, and now we should be able to do something like that. Nice. And what we could do now, because we have this drawer controller here, which links to all of the storage drawers in the system, what we can do is we can do something like this. We can actually hook up an import bus onto the draw controller. I'm not quite sure if you can have it on the front, but we'll see in a second, I guess. And then if we hook that up to power via the AEME cables here, you'll see that that's now connected up. And if we come over into here, we should start to see things being imported into the system. So right now, it is importing the rubber. You will see that it is doing it painfully slowly, considering how much stuff we have. But it's working its way through and pulling everything in. If we wanted to, we could get some acceleration cards, these guys over here, which would make the process a lot faster. For these, we need 3 iron ingots, 1 calculation processor, 2 diamonds, and 1 redstone. I will go ahead, what are we missing there? Diamonds. I'll go ahead and make some of those just to make this process a little bit faster for myself. And also because these acceleration cards come in very useful in the future when you want to speed up other parts of the Applied Energistics 2 system. So let's go ahead and craft up 5 of those. I think 5, I've made 6, but I think 5 is the max you can put. Oh, you can put 4 into there. So if I put 4 into there, that should now start to tear through all of the stuff that is in that system. You'll see how fast you just deposited 1,000 emeralds there. And you'll see now that it's very quickly just taking everything out of my logistics pipe system and storing it over here in the Applied Energistics 2 system. And eventually, we're not really going to have a need for all of this stuff. We're not going to need any of these things here. Now, one thing that we could have done instead of doing what we're doing here, which is just sucking everything out of the logistics pipe system, is we could have put an ME storage bus directly onto the controller here, and that would have allowed the AE system to access everything that's in the storage drawer. But I would much rather just have everything within our AE system here. You'll see it's very, very quickly filling up all of this stuff. You'll see that we're running out of bytes and not types, and the reason why we're doing that is because, like I said before, all of the items that it's pulling at, especially like the iron that it just drained, we have an awful lot of, so we have more items than we do types of items, if that makes sense. For some reason, it's only showing a few of the iron there. I'm not quite sure where all the rest is hiding out. I'm hoping it's still making its way into the system, and I'm hoping that by doing this, I'm not destroying all of my iron. I don't think that I am. It shouldn't do that, but let's have a look here. Let's go ahead and make some more Certus Quartz crystals. Actually, let's try and make some more 1K storage drives and see if we can get more of these up and running and get the system to hopefully be able to cope with this. Let's go. Woo. Okay, so I got a little bit worried there that the game had eaten up all of our iron, but as it turns out, what it's done, because it's pulling them directly out of the compacting drawers here, is it's put them all into the system in block form. So you'll see we have just shy of 3,000 blocks of iron, which is probably a good call for our system right now, because as I said, we've got a lot more types than we do bytes. But in the future, what we'll probably end up doing, because it's going to be a bit of a pain to try and craft with iron blocks, I'm going to have to turn all the iron blocks into iron every time I want to craft. What we'll do is we'll just turn all of those back into ingots once we get some more 4K, 16K, or even 64K ME storage drives. But yeah, that is our AE2 system. All of our stuff is now going to get sucked into there. What we're probably going to have to do is make a second drive cage. This guy over here, we can make another one of those and just put that down right about there so that we can add more drives to the system. And by the way, by putting items next to each other, you don't have to put a cable to connect them. So this will just directly connect via this to the energy acceptor. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is a very, very, very basic Applied Energistics 2 system. It does get way more complicated than this because right now we haven't even talked about the channel system. You can only connect up to 8 items to any one side of a channel right now. The fact that we've only got less than 8 items means that we don't have to have a controller, for example. We can just use the energy acceptor. But as we get further on down the line, we'll start to introduce more items. We'll have to start looking at the concept of channels, and we'll have to start expanding our Applied Energistics 2 system. But basically what I'm going to do now, guys, is between episodes, I'm going to go ahead and pull everything out of all of these storage drawers, stick it into the AE2 system, probably fill up this second ME drive here with 1K storage drives so we can get everything in there, and also pull everything out of these chests over here because, of course, they're not connected to the storage drawers, so they won't get pulled out by the import bus. But yeah, I'll get rid of all that stuff, pull it all into there, and now we've reached like the mid-game. We've reached like what I think is the mid-game of the mod pack. We're nowhere near the end. We've still got a ton of stuff left to do, and now we start to look forward towards the end game, towards progressing further along in the magic tree, further along in the trek tree, getting some more automation down, and we start to look towards some of the mid to end game late goals, kind of like the mid late game, not the super late game goals, because of course we do have the super late game goals. For example, the creative the creative items, like the creative energy cell, the creative tank, all that kind of stuff, can be crafted and is something that I would like to try and craft at some point in the future, especially the creative mana pool, the everlasting guilty pool. This thing here is going to be crazy to make and require a ton of work on the magic side of the tech tree, but those are kind of the super late game items that we're going to work towards via improving all of our systems, getting further with thermal expansion, applied energistics, blood magic, Thorncraft, all of the mods that we've been working with so far. We're going to push even further, try and get further line down all of those trees, but before we get to those items, we're of course going to work on what I like to call the mid to late game items, which are things like the angel ring. A little bit easy to make, but still very, very hard to make. It's still made in the extreme crafting table. It does require some nether stars. It requires the thermostatic harness, which is a combination, it's an item from Thorncraft, which is made by combining all of the magic parts together. You'll see we have some stuff from Witchery, some stuff from Blood Magic, and some stuff from Britannia that we need to combine together as well. Some stuff from Thorncraft with some infusion crafting to get that, and then we need to craft that up with more Iridium plates, which is why I'm still making Iridium, as well as some stuff from Blood Magic, some cracked runic plates. There is a ton of stuff we still need to do in order to get to this, but this is probably what I'm going to start working towards now. We're not going to spend like all of our time just trying to get stuff for this item. Like I said, I do want to start working a little bit more on expanding out our applied energistics 2 system. Obviously right now we have this massive logistics pipe system, all these auto crafting setups that don't really work, at least right now, with our applied energistics 2 setup. And what I'll probably do at the start of next episode is show you how you can link those together, so how you can use your logistics pipes to auto crafting system while still storing all of your items into an AE2 system, although we probably won't end up using that for an awfully long time because it's still pretty slow. You still got to send all the items down manually through the pipes to the machines, whereas if you use the applied energistics 2 crafting system, you can send the items instantaneously to all of the machines, then pull them back instantaneously, and it just ends up being a lot faster than the logistics pipe system ever could be. But with that, guys, I'm going to end this episode of Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved Skyblock there. It is episode 30, which means there will be a download link in the description. What I will do real quick is I will dump all of my stuff into this chest over here. Actually, I'll put, I don't have space in my AE system. I'll put all of this stuff into here. I'll also take off all of my armor and put all of that into there as well. I do not think that I am wearing anything else. I am not. And so if you would like, there will be a link down in the description to where you can download this world. I will also put the coordinates. Those are my coordinates. I'm at 1000, Y61 if you're wondering, because you'll probably spawn over at 00. But if you want to download the world, play along with me, you can download the world as it is right now, just as we've got the AE2 system, and start to work towards some of the late game stuff, the creative energy cell, the creative mana pool, all that kind of stuff, if that's something you're interested in. If you're not, again, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.